We haven't said Apple and upgrade in the same sentence very many times over the last several months, but it did today. Now it's to hold. It was at Underperform, which was a significant call in and of itself. But we have been discussing over the last few days, Kevin, as to whether we were going to have a turning point for shares of one of America's most loved stocks and one of America's most owned stocks and one of the Mag 7's worst stocks year to date. We going to have a better second half for Apple?
Well, I sure hope so. And I think the move yesterday that was sparking the recovery in the stock had a lot to do with their AI plans. And if they give up the internal ability to create Apple Intelligence and they tack onto a Scale AI, a Perplexity, in this case, I think they're talking about Anthropic and OpenAI more as a dominant player, I think that would be fantastic for the stock because you've got 2.3 billion active users. And if all of us collectively could actually turn Siri on and expect it to work occasionally, I think that would be a great step up. So I'm optimistic on the stock for the second half. I like the upgrade, and I think you can buy it here.
Apple's up 5% twice this week. And maybe sentiment is starting to turn. That, okay, if they make a decision that rather than in-house, they go to a third party for a significant portion of their AI, their aspirations around Siri, so what? It's a significant move, and it's the right move. And if you get AI right, better late than never.
Yeah, I agree with that. And they're always late because they don't innovate. So they wait for somebody else to innovate, and then they copy it. However, they got caught with their pants down here because this is not where you can copy somebody else's features. You need the actual brains and underpinning of it. So they can lease it. And I think that would be a great move for them because you've delayed, AI for Siri, et cetera, for a long time now. Remember, it was promised, almost a year ago at this point. So I think that would be positive. I also think part of it, and I agree with Kevin, that's part of what's driving it. I also think what's driving is you've seen such massive performance from the bottom on the other Mag 7 stocks that people looking to find so-called bargains, and this is a catch-up trade as well. So you got those two things working for it. I still think that the others will outperform, but, we've seen the bottom in Apple. Normally, if it were an Apple or another company, you'd be trading a lot lower in valuation. But because they have been slow revenue growth, slow earnings growth over the last number of years. But at this point, I would still rather be in the other Mag 7 stocks for enduring performance.
On Bryn, the innovation aspect of this, Digitimes is reporting that Apple's begun prototyping a foldable iPhone, and they eye a 2026 launch. What do you make of that news in the total story of whether you think Apple has the ability to have a really sizable rebound over the next 6 months? Because the year to date, it's down 16%, and that's after a nice move yesterday.
So, I guess to Steve's point, so they're just going to copy Samsung? We already have a foldable phone. So it's like this is where that's not innovative. That's just copying what Samsung already has. And so I find that as
but how many
nothing.
times do you hear people talk about the Samsung phone? So what?
Never.
Why has that ever mattered?
It's just
Why
like
is it going to matter now?
It's just a feature. It's there. So if you think about Apple, the vast majority of their revenues come from the hardware of people buying iPhones. And so the thesis a year and a half ago, which I disagreed with, I think Steve disagreed with it too, is that the iPhone 16 was not going to be exponential. It was going to be incremental. So now we're at the iPhone 17. And so how are you going to get us to speed up? Like I have an iPhone 14. I'm very happy with it. How are you going to get the globe to speed up that cycle? It's not going to be with a foldable phone. And so I think with Apple, this is a great company. They buy back their stocks. We all use their devices. But I think they are in that somewhat of a quandary of this is a late stage company that really needs to innovate. And they have very big revenue numbers, but they're not growing. And so I think a foldable phone is a nothing burger. I think buying back shares is still overdone. And how do you innovate? How does a hardware company innovate when all of the innovation is coming from software? And I think that's the big question with the stock. I still own the stock. I sold half in December. But I just think investors do need to understand we've seen this playbook before. Eastman Kodak, Polaroid, IBM, Cisco. They really need to do something they haven't been comfortable doing in the past, which is to buy a company because they have to buy that innovation because they're not doing it internally.
You'll let us know when you sell the other half, because sounds like you have one foot out the door on the second half of your holding. Certainly doesn't make a big case behind it.
No, it doesn't. Look, I think we're always searching for some fundamental catalyst. I think Steve really nailed it. A lot of the story so far in 2025, when you're looking at these mega cap companies, it's all about Meta, it's all about Nvidia, it's all about Microsoft. There's a clear delineation. And then on the other side, there's concerns surrounding Alphabet. We know the concerns with Apple, and they haven't performed. Well, sentiment and positioning right now probably for Apple are as poor as it has been in many, many years. And for a trade, I do think, I said it yesterday, I think you could buy this for a trade. I think it probably goes 220, 225 easily. Doesn't mean 6 months from now it's the leader, but you're going to kind of get a little bit of a better feeling surrounding that sentiment because you got some clarity yesterday that maybe they have a roadmap in front of them as it relates to the AI strategy. We don't have to approve it. We don't have to agree with it, but at least you know the direction ultimately.
Do you not agree with it?
Well, I would have liked to have seen them innovate on their own, not have to go to a third party.
What difference does it? I don't understand what difference it makes.
It doesn't make a difference. I don't think it makes a difference to the business model. I don't think it makes a difference to revenue. I think what we had wanted over the last 6 months is for them to be competitive with the other mega cap technology companies in an AI strategy. And just because we were unsatisfied in that regard, to your point, it probably doesn't make a difference for the share price.
Here's why it makes a difference. It doesn't make a difference today, but it makes a difference going forward. Because as AI continues to improve, and as OpenAI and Anthropic continue to innovate, and Meta and the others on AI, Apple's not going to be innovating on it because they don't have those people internally. So you see the major.
Yeah, but if they're doing the deals with the innovators, what difference does that make?
They'll be further back in the queue.
Why?
For those upgrades. Because they're going to use them themselves first. So OpenAI is going to deploy those first. Microsoft also has a call on what they're doing as a large shareholder in the company. So it's always the innovators who get first dibs, and then the ones that are buying from them, depending upon the check.
Apple's not going to do a deal with one of these companies and then watch whatever terms they pay, watch the innovations go to somebody else.
Well, they're going to have to get there with I don't think that's true. They are not in the premier negotiating position right now, unless they want to write a significantly larger check. And then you could ask, why not buy Perplexity, which is phenomenal AI in search.
Well, that seems to be where everybody's talking about. What if they did do that? What if they did do that? Gene Munster was on Closing Bell with us yesterday, said they should buy Perplexity. Alex Kantrowitz was at WWDC with us, said they should buy Perplexity. If they buy Perplexity, are you going to be happy with that?
Yeah, I would be. There'd be some dilution because of the price tag, but yes, I would be happy with it. They've got to use their cash for something. If you recall, I wanted to buy Netflix when it was a $50 billion market cap. Think of what that would have done for them. How many more eyeballs? Look, it's got great products. Once you're in it, you're locked in. But believe me, the foldable phone, as Brent says, is not the key. I've seen foldable phones from Samsung. I'm sure we all have. They're unwieldy. The form factor, unless they make it equivalent to this, and this is going to go lighter, then people aren't going to want it. It's a gimmick.
Bryn, I saw you raising your hand over there.
Yeah. So it's like I want to be balanced here. So why do you buy Apple today? Why do I still hold it? Is I still believe that Siri is the Trojan horse of all of this because we're all still using our Apple devices. So like I have the Meta Ray-Bans, but you still have to use them through your Apple phone. And where Apple dominates everybody else is security. And so if you think about this AI assistant, ultimately, once again, you have Alexa, but you have the app on your phone. And so people trust Apple. And so if they can get Siri, whether it's an acquisition, what have you, buying talent like Meta's doing, where we can have control and security over our data inside of there to be able to make plane reservations, to look in our emails. Because I do think that's where ultimately this company can execute, but it's a timing perspective. And so I think that you do need to think that Tim Cook is going to pull it off, because I do think from a security perspective, no one else does it like Apple.
Yeah. Let me sum it up this way. I need a reason to upgrade from my 14 to a 17. They didn't give it to me for this 15. They didn't give it to me for the 16. I'm still waiting. I'm happy to hold this through the 20 as long as it still works.